What's up, everybody? Josh and Jay back with the podcast. Uh, Another perhaps disappointing result today from one perspective. Keeping a point or losing two, depending on if you're a half full guy or a half empty guy. But we'll get right into it. Everybody knows the scoreline: 1-1, Chelsea United. I had it 2-1 to Chelsea. Jay had us dropping this one 2-1 to Man U. But per usual, Jay, let's throw it to you first. What are your initial thoughts on the game today?
It was frustrating today. We our midfield is problematic, and I think Potter realized that fairly early on. With Koulibaly not ready to start, I know we both in our predictions we had a back three lineup. He obviously quickly saw that we needed some additional support there and switch us to a back four. I'm not quite sure why we didn't start off that way. I know we'll dig into who we threw out there and how people perform, but we didn't create many chances. We were not clinical. We were still making bad decisions at critical moments. So I thought we would have been, our last video, I mentioned that we'd be lucky to walk away with the draw. I still kind of feel that way, even though they ended up scoring in the 94th minute to tie it up. But all in all, just another frustrating day. It looks like we're stuck in the mud.
It is. It's extremely frustrating to watch. And, especially when you think you're going to, you should be walking away with 3 points, especially at home. Georgie coming up with the big penalty. We all know how anxiety inducing those moments can be. But the big thing again, and I'm almost tired of talking about him, but is it Kepa Arrizabalaga continuing to keep us in these games? And I mean, I wish it were more about our attacking prowess, or maybe perhaps having a couple of bad lucks at the other end, maybe hitting the woodwork or something that we're upset we could have converted more chances. But bottom line is we created 2 shots on goal during the game, and it was a tough watch. And Kepa continuing to keep us into these games with his performances. I think he's going to continue to get shine until he proves otherwise. Thank God for Kepa. And it's interesting to see the trust that continues to be placed in Mark Cucurella, bringing him back out. Obviously, there's a hefty fee, and he was one of Graham's guys at Brighton, but he's just not playing very well, and or playing out of position. So
understatement.
That's a an interesting storyline that's going to continue to play itself out throughout the rest of the season. And as it drags on, the competition and the injuries and the attrition are going to continue to mount up. But disappointed with him today. But it is also interesting to see that Graham Potter's not afraid to make a change, taking him off after 30 minutes and putting in Kovacic.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. So, Kepa, you said it in the match preview. You were like, listen, I think we're going to pull this one off. I think Kepa's going to be amazing back there. He's going to keep us in it. Obviously, I just mangled that verbatim. But the guy was great again, and he's one
Excellent.
inch away from saving that
Excellent.
ball on the header, to keep the clean sheet and to get us the 3 points. He was amazing. He did everything right. He had all the right movements. He closed down when he needed to, made himself big when he needed to. He's keeping us in these games, and we've had a repeated pattern here of saying that this team, we're not playing well. We came out with a result. We won ugly. We put. That can't continue. We can't continue to rely on Kepa to play out of his mind, as great as it is to see, in order for us to get points. We need to manufacture pressure. We need to manufacture goals. We need to, again, better decision-making, more creativity, better continuity between all 3 phases of our game. And it's been really disappointing to see. And I liken this to
incisiveness. The incisiveness isn't there. That's the problem. And I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it's so frustrating watching us meddling around and not looking to move the ball forward.
It's a lot of sideways passing. It's a lot of backward passing. It's a lot of reset passing. And as competent as we look at that, that's not hard to do because no one cares about that. That just creates meaningless possession. Like we need to be putting the pins to the teams that we're playing against and putting pressure on them, asking them questions that they have to defend. And I went back, I rewatched the Man U Tottenham game, And we saw something kind of similar. Tottenham played their standard Antonio Conte brand of ball where they wanted to be really stout defensively. They wanted to try to break and hit people on the counters.
Counter.
And United's midfield just owned them. They just owned them. They just kept on winning the ball back. They kept on creating chances. And going into this game, it was, why would we even consider trying to do a similar thing? The idea here was to try to pressure them, to go after them, to be direct with our play, have them make mistakes and create chances for us. And we just did not, either we didn't choose to play that way from a strategic standpoint, or our personnel just doesn't know how to execute that way.
It seemed to be very tactical, and maybe this was over my head, but there seemed to be a lot of tactical maneuvering going on. I don't want to say that the game was boring, but it seemed like that final pass, that extra little bit of magic that you need to create something great, or a little bit of finishing, just wasn't there. Chalobah had a chance to finish, at the end there, but overall, I just didn't see enough, enough courage. Again, just a willingness to take certain risks, and if you're gonna, win points in the Premier League against a top 6 club, you got to take some chances, and you have to have the ability to be clinical. We're not clinical right now. I thought we did have some chances and some half chances, but we're not making the right pass, or we don't have our finishing boots on. And it does continue to be frustrating, especially when you do have different attacking options. I don't see the recipe changing enough per se, particularly up front, because if you're not finishing, you're not winning games.
And I agree with you. And I also think this is really my entire focus on this game has to be on the midfield, and I think tough. that plays into it, right? Like if we don't have the bodies to play a real back three, we don't have the wing backs to be able to provide support in the attack. Why are we doing it? Why are we throwing Cucurella out there when he was just miserable the last time we gave him the opportunity? I actually thought Chilwell didn't play too bad today, but United, for the first 20 minutes of the game, all they did was attack that side because they know how inept we are when those two guys are playing together. So, I question Graham Potter, knowing that Koulibaly could not play, why you wouldn't just start off with the back four, have Kova in there. I wanted Kova in there from the jump. I mean, Jorginho, beside executing on the penalty, was atrocious today. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was atrocious. So at what point do we say, all right, how do we fix this? We have the personnel we have is what we have. Even if we had N'Golo Kante fit, that's not his game. He's not the creative player. He's just the guy who's going to be able to win you the ball back consistently. He's going to fortify your back line, and he's going to run like mad to give you additional possession. But he's not really that creative genius moving forward. So where is Conor Gallagher? Where are some of the other guys? Even if you say, all right, well, maybe we put Pulisic in the game and we have him play up top and we drop Mason Mount into the midfield, who else can we throw into the mix here in order to build a little bit of that creativity and not just have meaningless possession coming from our midfielders?
It is. I mean, these are all completely fair points. For the record, Mateo Kovacic is so far our best midfield option. It's not
even close.
I mean, he is by far, he's the most industrious. At least he'll turn, and he is such an underrated dribbler. Like he really is. He'll take the ball and go past somebody. That's something I love about having, him in there. But is this a formation change in the sense where we do go with a back four and you do the traditional 4-2, more of a 3-1? If we can have a number 10, if you can get Mace the ball in a better place on the field, if you can get Christian Pulisic the ball in a better place in the field where they can turn and run at people, that's what we want. And then you're spraying it out wide for service, or something like that. Until Reece James comes back, our right side is more or less going to be completely inept. We got to get Chile the opportunity to go forward. He's our best forward option from the wing at this point, and we have to work out that other, center back spot to let, free Chile to free Chile, get him get him up the left, get that guy up there. But short of that, we're like I said, just the lack of creativity and the lack of industry towards the goal is a little bit upsetting. I want to see some people taking the ball and having a few dribbles and trying to create something.
And Chile wasn't bad today. He was the one that created most of our good chances. He had that one ball in that was really nice into Aubameyang. I think that was right around the 40th minute, 42nd minute. Aubameyang didn't quite handle that right or make the right decision, but I had no problem with Chilwell's performance. I thought he did fine. The complexion of the game did change once we did bring Kovacic on, because he started to be able to run at guys. He was making passes. He was putting people in the right position so that we were starting to generate a little bit of pressure on their back line. But Loftus-Cheek and Jorginho were atrocious. So we spoke about it. We spoke about this last week. It's like, this is the most glaring hole in our team, and they're going to have to address it. But until then, by bringing in new personnel, until then, you have to change things up a little bit. I'm going to mangle his name, Chukwuemeka. If we feel confident putting him in there,
just turn
crunch
19.
time at the end of the game. I know he's a young man, but if we feel comfortable putting this dude in there at the end of the game when we need to be able to score, we need to be able to generate something, give him a start. Give him a start. See what happens with him. There are additional bodies that we can play there. We may have to just, again, formation adjustments, but doing the same thing over and over again and running the same bodies out there who we know these guys. We know Jorginho. We know what he brings. We know what his value is in certain situations. Ruben Loftus-Cheek has been with this club forever. Beside, a couple of stints, when have we really been excited about what Ruben Loftus-Cheek is bringing to the table? So change is needed. I do think that they need to start shifting to either a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, probably the latter, to give us a little bit more up front. But the midfield is just, it's atrocious. It's atrocious at the moment.
Very difficult to watch, and especially, and that's been such a strength of ours for so long. Typically, it's been about finishing or maybe somebody in the back, but having those deep lying playmakers like a Cesc Fabregas, those beautiful long balls into Diego through the middle. Where's some of that? And that's definitely what we're missing right now. All right. What do you think was the chance that we missed today? What was the biggest moment, for you from the Chelsea perspective, that gave you a little heartbreak hotel?
There weren't many. I mean, again, we had 6 shots in total. We had 2 on target. United had more than double shots in total and more than triple on target. So there's not a lot to speak about. The one that I have to go back to is what I just mentioned. It was, Chile ran up the wing. He played a beautiful ball into Aubameyang. He had an opportunity. He probably should have just tried to nudge that toward goal and tried to catch De Gea on his heels. He tried to bring it down. It wasn't a great decision, but that was it. We didn't really have many other opportunities that looked even close to reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, Chalobah was the only other reasonable chance hitting the woodwork. The other thing is, I listened to what the gaffer had to say after the game. He said that he really thought that we improved after 30 minutes, aka getting Kovacic on there and trying to get an extra body in the midfield. Cucurella not doing the job. All I can continue to think about is the lack of creativity and, I guess, his willingness to not address that earlier in the match, because what this means to me is that he thinks Christian Pulisic, kind of like you do, he thinks he's much more valuable to us as the 6th man, as opposed to a guy who makes an impact from the beginning of the game. And I think that at this point, if he doesn't start using some of these other attacking options, like you said, even Connor in the midfield, get him in the middle of the park. He was the Crystal Palace player of the season last year, playing a true midfield role. What's the problem here? him with Mason Mount in that dual number 8, sort of role might be something interesting too. And because they'll both run, like that's another thing I think we need. Would you be more interested in seeing what if Mace dropped down into a midfield role playing in the middle with Conor Gallagher? That's the sort of thing that, hey, why aren't we trying stuff like that?
It begs the question. It really does. And bigger picture, I've been thinking a lot about this. The emotional swings of opinion toward the squad. Obviously, this thing has ebbed and flowed, right? Like, if we rewind the clock, this was obviously a very difficult end of last year and a very difficult offseason. You have an owner change. You have assets frozen. You can't make moves. Nobody knows what's going on, where the future of the club is. This was a disaster for one of the biggest clubs in world football, right? And I think coming in this year, we were able to get some deals done. Things were, we were able to get some pieces in, but obviously we were limited in what we could do and the timing of when it could happen. Tuchel obviously was going through some personal problems. There were some issues with regards to relationship with him and some of the players. You didn't have that same feeling that you had, previously with him, leading the club. So at the end of the day, as frustrated as we are right now, if you look at where we are on the table and you look at what we're doing in Champions League, we're kind of right where you would have expected us to be. Competing for top 4, winning our group in Champions League. We may have gotten a little bit of that when Graham Potter came on and we started to see some improvement. We started to see a little bit more of the talent shine, from what we had. Obviously we turned around our standing in Champions League. We got a little bit of that new car smell, right? And now your kid just dropped a deuce in the back seat. So the sheen is gone. We're struggling. We don't really have an identity. We're trying to figure it out. And, the results haven't been amazing. But, getting a point against United in any scenario is not the end of the world. It was painful how it happened. It was ugly how it happened. But I think, in general, we need to manage our expectations and kind of look at this big picture. We're not winning the league. No, we've never thought we were going. We're not going to be able to compete with Man City. We're not going to be able to compete. Maybe we will with Arsenal. I don't know what's going to happen with them, but we're not Man City. So
we are not. We are not. Well, and you do make some interesting points. And God, I don't like getting excited, but this is when Chelsea are at their most dangerous in Europe or in tournaments. I don't, just maybe kind of lying in the weeds a little bit in the league, not in danger of losing a top, 4 necessarily. I'm not sweating too much. I mean, with Liverpool and the type of form that they're in right now, everybody's, benefiting from that. I'm certainly not thinking that we're winning the league, but we're certainly a problem in cup competitions and in Europe, especially now after the Milan double, coming up with Salzburg, here soon. We're going to be in a great position to win our group, put us in a great position into group play, or excuse me, into knockout play, and nobody wants to play Chelsea in a knockout game.
No,
it's difficult. It's a difficult matchup. Short of either City or Madrid, I don't see too many problems in terms of us not being able to compete with anybody in the 16.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I mean, I'm hoping that the more Graham Potter has a chance to mold some clay and build this team out and figure out what's going to work, we'll see what we're going to turn into. But I think we all got very excited when we had this managerial shift. We started to see better performance. We started to see better results. We had those back-to-back wins against AC Milan, and I think we've had a little dose of reality that we're not a superstar, really dangerous team at the moment, and they're going to have to figure it out, and that's fine.
No doubt about it.
Changing tune a little bit. So obviously we gave a lot of love to Kepa. He deserves it.
Yep.
As much as we've just complained about a lot of player performances, I did think that there were some guys who actually played quite well today. Right? I'll go through mine in a minute. Who else beside Kepa whose performance did you like today? Who were you happy with?
Well, I mean, Thiago Silva. I mean, he put his jersey on, didn't he? It just seems like all the guy's got to do is lace up his boots. He's always in the right spot. He's like the ref. The less you hear about him, that's how you know he's doing a great job. He just continues to be a really classy piece, and he continues to lead by example. He's a guy that really doesn't ever disappoint me. Um, he's the guy who stands out to me. If you're talking about man of the match, that's a different story. But for me, it's number 6. He's super steady. There's nothing not to like. He's great in the dressing room, and he's another guy who speaks like 5 languages. It's awesome. This guy's ability to communicate with his teammates and just continue to play such a high level of football and to never seem to panic. And he's actually got some nice footy back there with Kepa. Kepa and him are able to really play some nice 1-2s back there to keep possession, flowing and to keep the defense off balance and, for us to be able to play out of the back.
I'm really enjoying watching, and it's another one of these feel-good stories. Trevor Chalobah.
It's great.
Plays great in the offseason last year. They're thinking about potentially shipping him out on loan. He gets a spot with the team. He can play pretty much any spot on a back 3. He can play either center back role in a back 4. He can play defensive midfield. The guy he's only impressed. He is only impressed, and he's just getting better.
He's one of our own.
And I don't know what I don't want to even quote the stat because I don't know what it is, but we have not lost I believe it's a 25, Premier League game.
25 now.
I don't believe we've lost a game with him getting a start.
Tim, 25. That's that great stat. We don't do a lot of stats.
No, we're not stat guys. No, we don't have time for that.
But that's a great stat, but it's just a testament to, and it's the thing I love. It's the winning at the youth level, which I think is just continues to be underrated for Chelsea. Look at our academy boys right now. Look at these guys. Like they're just serial winners. And when you get used to winning down there, you bring that mentality. Kid hasn't even lost a prem match. That's incredible.
It's ridiculous.
It really is. And 25, that's not an accident. That's I think you're past a trend when you hit 25 unbeaten. So man, that's a great point. I haven't been giving Trevor enough shine. And again, it's I think sometimes those guys in the back, the less you hear from them, the sort of the less shine they get, like an offensive lineman in football, right? But the props are definitely well deserved for number 14 for sure.
Yeah, certainly. So, listen, at the end of the day, like I said, this was disappointing because regardless of how we played, we were winning. We gave up the goal toward the end of the game. Still have not beaten United since, and I did find the date, since November of 2017, which is very unfortunate.
Oh, is that official? You did find the date?
It was November of 2017 was the last time we beat United in a Premier League game. We did beat them in an FA Cup game, I think once or twice.
So that's
but as far as the Prem,
that's not
and
good.
I think the last 3 or 4 are all draws. Yeah, it's not good.
That's not good at all.
Not good.
That's not good at all. All right.
Today was the day, man. We had it. Today was the day.
It's right there. Problem. You got to finish. Well,
what a jerk.
Speaking of finishing, let's finish this up by going with the man of the match, which is, of course, always brought to you by All Out Fitness. And at All Out Fitness, they're empowering individuals to be their best selves. So who is the best version of themselves for you, Jay, in the match today?
For the 3rd consecutive game, the America's Blue man of the match is Kepa Arrizabalaga.
I mean, ding, ding, ding. There's and for the record, we don't talk about these, but there's only one guy who it could be. He's just keeping us in these games and continuing to play huge. And when you think about it, he was within literally an inch or two of literally winning the game again for us today. So props to Kepa. Without him, it's definitely a big 0 points for the men in blue. So walking away with a result as off his back is just another testament to him.
And as happy as I am to give this to Kepa and as great as he's playing, I would really, really enjoy it if any of the other guys on this team made our man of the match conversation a little bit more interesting.
It would be great.
Yeah, give us some competition. Give me some options. Make it tough.
Be great for content. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, in the team news, Koulibaly, the knee. I feel like I learned later about this. Maybe I was asleep at the wheel, but the continued attrition, we're getting pretty thin back there.
It's a problem.
Can you suit up?
You don't want that.
Nobody does.
You do not want that.
No, it's so
go from bad to worse.
Really quickly. But in the back, and it just it kind of had my mind working today too. I think we're going to have to take a little bit of pressure off of everybody and probably go back with that back four. Even just talking to you here over the past few minutes, it's making me think that that's got to be the direction for us. We'll see who we march out on Tuesday, because we're back in the Champions League. I didn't know if you knew that.
I am well aware.
A little tournament called the Champions League on
RB
Tuesday at
Salzburg.
12:45.
That's a big one. We can wrap this thing up.
Well, yeah.
Wrap this up.
Wait a minute. So just let you know, they are in first in the Austrian top flight. They've taken 29 points from 39, and they're 7 points clear. They're second in our group. And the danger man, we have Mr. Adamu, and we have a Noah Okafor. I have been watching a little bit of the RB games. Granted, that was more last year when they had our American Brendan Aronson over there. I was a little bit more familiar, but they play good football. They're perennial champions in their league, and just like anything else, we can't fall asleep here.
No, we got to come out firing. Like I said, we have this thing ready to wrap up. We get 3 points here. We're assured a spot of moving on. Benjamin Sesko's on that team also. We were keeping an eye on him this offseason to come in as a striker. They're a good team, but this is an opportunity for us to just put the pin in this thing and
got to take care of business
and move on. Just take care of business. Move on. I don't want to leave this till come away with an L here and leave this to the last week where we're battling up against Dynamo and wondering what type of result we're getting from the other game to see if we're moving on. So this is a big opportunity for us to right the ship, get some momentum going back in our favor, and move on from there.
It is. Well, it would be refreshing to see us maybe put a few past the keeper, hopefully keep a clean sheet and get a good result. Jay and I will break down some of our thoughts on Salzburg on Monday night. But in the meantime, we appreciate all you guys tuning in. Thanks for all the support out there. Jay and Josh wrapping it up. America is blue. We look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Thanks, everybody.